we talking now, or are we? Anyone?
You want to keep going?
I'm sick, so I need a little, like...
Because we were going to do the Q&A after, but we can do it in between. It's up to you. Billy, let's talk.
I just need to catch my breath, that's all.
I like that song.
Scary being in front of all these people.
It's very scary. That's one of my favorite songs from the new record, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, it's called Eye of the Morning. And originally it was 2 songs, and I had to beg Flood to let me put them together. So...
There's another song called, I think it's Raindrops and Sun Showers.
Yeah.
It's great.
Oh, thank you. No, I won't be playing that today. I could in a pickle, but... how are you?
I'm Leslie with 99X. It's the morning show. Do you want to...
I meant how are you, not who are you.
Oh.
Hopefully he knows who you are, friend.
Actually, I'm good now.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing this.
Oh, thank you.
We're all very excited. Does anyone in the audience want to jump up here and ask a question?
You guys have a question for Billy? Run through, trample over the people. Come to the mic, dude.
I'll tell you what, while they come on up, is it more important to you, Billy, to have... I know there have been albums that you've made where, let's say, there was a song that you knew would be a hit, but maybe chose not to put it on because it didn't fit. So is it more important for you to please yourself artistically than put something on that you think will commercially be accepted?
Yeah. Well, there seems to be 2 ways to look at it. There's the immediacy of the moment, which is what's going on right at this particular moment, which I very much agree with, because rock and roll needs to be exciting like today, not tomorrow or yesterday. But there's also the idea that you can't be such a victim of the time that you're in that you can't be willing to step outside of what's comfortable or popular. I think there's a lot of great bands right now, but my main criticism of a lot of the new bands would be that I don't think they're doing anything particularly original. They've kind of managed to do a very good job of honing down the idea of what exists. But, I remember at the time, when we put out Siamese Dream, not a lot of people understood the record. We had songs that kind of became big songs for alternative radio, but in terms of mainstream pop and all that kind of stuff, nobody wanted to play those songs because they were too weird, they were too loud. Now if you look at what's in the charts on mainstream radio, a lot of the heavier songs are getting played. So if we weren't willing to step outside the boundaries of what was going on at the time, then those songs wouldn't be, by a lot of people, be considered classic songs. So it's very difficult because you're constantly at odds with what people are asking of you, which is to be big, sell records, and keep feeding some heavy metal machine, which no one seems to know what the rules are, versus doing what you want to do.
Does it bother you that a lot of modern rock seems to attract fickleness? I mean, what fans like today, for one reason or next, they're not into the next day. Right. Does that bother you? Is that frustrating as an artist?
It has at times, but as I've gotten older, I've grown to appreciate that the audience is basically usually right, at least in the terms of the idea of the immediacy. But the audience is not always right in terms of what is going to survive the test of time. So sometimes, like right now, I think we're dealing very much in immediacy. This album's very much about being exciting right now, not tomorrow. But we have created work that we knew at the time no one was going to understand, but we've been sitting around going, sooner or later they're going to get it. But I believe the audience is right always in terms of the immediacy. The audience is generally attracted to the most exciting things. And as much as people want to browbeat like boy bands and Britney Spears, they generally are right now more exciting than most rock and roll bands. And until rock and roll bands basically wrestle back the excitement, which
they come and go.
Which has to do with...
Have you ever sat down and listened to an NSYNC CD just to see what the hell's going on there?
I was kidnapped once and strapped to a chair.
Hey, do you have a question? What's your name?
I'm Brian Hunter. I wanted to thank Billy. I think he is one of the greatest songwriters of all time. And
thank you, Brian.
Thank you for providing us a product to soothe our souls for the last 10 years. And
it's kind of like milk, it's good for the bones.
It is. It's been great for my bones for the last 10 years. And I just wanted to, back in the 60s and 70s, the bands were, they seemed to come together and do a lot of things together. We did Lollapaloozas and things like that, but it doesn't seem to be quite what it was in the 60s and 70s. Do you have any ideas, like, early bands of the 90s, the breaking up, people getting killed and suicide, things like that?
Well, unfortunately, I think that, you know, a lot of what went on in the late 60s and the early 70s, particularly in rock and roll, was a counter manifestation of what was going on in the country. As you know, the hippies and the rock and rollers saw unrest in the country, they kind of formed together because they were the counterculture. Well, alternative music really isn't the counterculture anymore. It's been bought and sold, and it's really up to the artists to kind of look beyond the egoism of what they can plug into at the moment. And there's a lot of money, there's a lot of kind of immediate fame, but I think the saddest legacy of what's gone on, I'd say, over the past 10 or 12 years is, despite the explosion of alternative music to an acceptable kind of art form, if you can use that word, it's basically, it's lost its plot. You know, there's not a lot of integrity in it anymore, and no one seems to even be standing up for the integrity. I know I'm basically beaten down on the whole issue. I've just thrown my hands up in the air because, you know, I don't want to be a single soldier in a war that no one cares to fight. So I agree with you, but I think it's also a product of the times. I mean, we're living in very comfortable economic times. Everybody's got a computer, basically, you know. Everyone's made to feel important. MTV makes you feel like you're a star. The internet tells you you're a star. Then you're a star, you know, and that's it.
Well, thank you, and don't give up, please.
By the way, his hair is like that because a select number of people here to get tickets to today, Billy, shaved their head. Some of the other guys in the
I recommend it for beauty.
Well, some of the other guys that you see are bald are just that way because that's how God made them. So, you want to do another question, Barnes?
I can
Should we do another
one if you want.
He's ready to play.